we starting? Okay, yay! All right. Hey there, FlossTube. This is Cathy, the hands-on designer, or apparently I feel like the Jolly Green Giant today. I need, note to self, need taller friends. Anyway, I'm here in the studio today. It's dreary and rainy and ucky outside, so we're here in the studio and we're gonna have a lot of fun. This is gonna be called a FlossTube Classroom. I've done these before, and I'd like to introduce my guests. To my immediate left, I have Lorna.
Hi.
And she actually works here at Hands-On Design in the studio. I was calling you the head ship mistress, but we got to be careful how we say that. So what was your title?
Inventory procurement.
Specialist.
Yes.
We got to get specialist.
Specialist,
It just sounds
yes.
really good. Okay. Yeah. All right. And actually, we've known each other for a really long time.
Yeah.
So a really long time.
Really long time.
Like kids in PJs long time. Yeah. Anyway, and then also I have a new guest in the studio. This is Ginny.
Hello.
And Ginny actually owns what I consider to be our local stitching shop in Beresford, South Dakota. We can go 80 miles an hour. It takes 45 minutes to get there, so it's local.
That's right. It is local.
So she came down today. Is the shop open or closed? Or is Mary
Nope,
there
we're
today?
closed on Tuesday. Mondays and Tuesdays were open by appointment, and nobody called for an appointment except you.
Okay.
And then
And I
we're
made her come
open
here.
Wednesday through Saturdays from 10 to 5.
Okay.
Wednesdays and through Friday, and then 9 to 4 on Saturdays.
Okay, so we didn't necessarily mean to turn this into a commercial,
No.
but I do want to say she's a great shop. She has lovely quilt fabric, stitching, full service stitching. You do framing, you do long arm quilting, you do
And some
other
wool,
finishing,
embroidery, yeah.
And it's a lovely shop. So,
Thank you.
and Mary is there, and you have somebody else new there too.
Mary works for me, and then sometimes Patty is and then Erin has been working for me on Saturdays.
Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. So it's a great time. So if you're ever zipping up I-29, it's
Stop
worth
in.
It's worth a stop, or call. And she's got a website too. So, sorry, did not mean to turn that into a commercial, but hey, if the opportunity presents itself, why not? So we are here today I've wrangled them in to basically take part in class. So we're going to be filming another FlossTube Classroom, and today's focus, we're going to talk about, we're going to have them work through finishing one of these blocks for the brand new season 2 chart that I just released at Nashville. You attended Nashville, and Ginny picked up some of these, and Lorna helped pack all these. So it's like everybody just got their hands on this. So this is the chart. All 12 months are included, and I'm going to show you how I finished mine. And if you're kind of wondering why season 2, it's a year of celebrations continues, because about 10 years ago, I designed can you believe it?
I can't believe
Yeah.
that.
I know, it's kind of freaky.
I remember painting all those boards.
Yes, well, and we did, this is one of the months from the original year of celebrations. The chart is still available. It was originally in a magazine, and then I released it as a general part of my my catalog quite a few years ago. And I did a tutorial on how to make these cute little clipboards. You're thinking of the ones for the chalk. Yeah.
Yes.
And then these, I made them so that you could easily switch them out. And as I said, there is a tutorial on that. So what I thought would be kind of fun to do is, while these are still really popular, I started noticing that people were saying, oh, I'm done, I'm gonna miss them, I'm so sad. And I thought, well, what if we do a whole new round of them and just, update the colors a little bit, the themes, it's still gonna be the months. So as you can see, you get all 12 in the same chart, just like you did on the first go round. There is a Facebook stitch along group. It's a pretty active group. I know you're in it, aren't you? Okay.
Yep.
And it's kind of fun because you see the different ways people finish.
The different fabrics they've chosen.
Yeah, it's great. And everybody's really helpful in there, because I don't get to be in there a lot of times until like late in the day, and somebody has a question, and usually by the time I get there, another stitcher has helped them out. So, so anyway, with this one, I just want to show that to you briefly. With season 2, I did this complimentary border. I did not do that first time around with the original, but this time I did this complimentary border. It's available on the website, on the product page for the chart. You can download that. And most shops know about it too, so they could even access it for you. So I did want to show you that. About, what did I say? Fat quarter of linen?
Yes, a fat quarter of linen will pretty much handle, even if you're going to make them individually.
Well, individually, I
They
think
need a little more.
Yeah, about a half yard.
Okay.
If they want a little comfortable
Sure.
amount of space fit in between. So I'm gonna put that off over there. So anyway, we are going to, well, I'm gonna teach them how to, they're gonna be my students for the day. So, okay. So we're gonna we're gonna walk you through everything from start to finish. We may not get everything completed, but just to kind of give you some idea of how I went about and finished to make them look like this on these cute little these little stands. And I'll have all the information. We'll talk about that here. I will also do some commenting below where I ordered the different supplies. All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, yay! I have no idea what they're in for.
I know.
And then jump off a chair. Okay, so we are back, and we're going to start by, you want to hand me one of those? Sorry.
No.
We're working in a new little space here. So we're going to start by painting one of these little, what would you call them? Canvas boards.
Canvas boards.
And it's a 5x5. I got them online from a company called Jerry's Art-A-Rama. And again, all of the information I will put in the comments below. Can you grab me one of the models? They come like this. I actually got them in bulk. They come in packs of 3 or packs of 9, I believe. So get together with a friend and share them. Now, I will tell you, I did actually paint the models. I just wanted to kind of knock down that white a little bit. So it's painted with a deco paint called Plaster. So it is still white. I just wanted a real clean look. But for today's purposes and on camera, I'm gonna have, you guys are gonna paint with colors. So we can go ahead and set that one there. All right, thank you. Now they're gonna use, I had them pick out in their whatever color they wanted. And this is just, you can kind of see a variety. It's just that little bottle of craft paint.
Hobby Lobby.
Pretty much, yeah, Walmart, any of those kinds of stores. So, and then we're not real fancy here. Oh, you already got paint on yourself. Yay. All right. By the way, for reference, Ginny, Lorna, me. So as you can tell, I got a new camera. So we're trying this out, or not a new camera, but a new little apparatus so we can do you can get a better look. So I get fancy schmancy with the paper plates. You want to definitely shake it with the lid closed because you don't know how long it's been sitting there. And just kind of get it all mixed up, and then squirt a little bit out on your paper plate. You know, we use real high tech.
They're matching.
You might want to do a little more than that.
A little more?
I don't worry about wasting paint, so.
Okay. It's got more.
Awesome. So, and then they're just going to use just these little foam brushes. And I apparently was using too many of them, and I only had this one left. And then, so Lorna's using this one, which is really more of a pounce brush, but you know what? It works too. She's going to try pouncing it, and she can also brush too. So the whole thing is I like doing it in really light coats. I do multiple coats, but I do like doing light. And you can see they put some on their foam, and then they kind of dabbed it off to the side. And the whole trick is we want it to really dry in between. So, and you just keep.
So do you want us to go in one direction?
It is nice to, and even if you do like a couple like directions at first just to get it on, then go back over it in one direction. I mean, there's just not, you know, it's not real scientific here. And really we're just kind of dry brushing it. I want a real thin coat. And actually, can I show you?
Yes.
Here, you hold on to it. I would just even go back over it again and just kind of, and see, and you can, these sponges will soak in a lot. You can kind of go like that, get more in, and you can see I'm just brushing over it like that. And just to get it so it's really nice and dry to the point where you feel like there's nothing left on my sponge, and it's time to put a little bit more on. And I did the sides. You can see Lorna here, maybe scoot your hands in just a little bit more, make sure they can see. Because this should all really dry very quickly. And what's nice about these is a lot of times I hold my, you know, when you're doing the front, you can hold, but when it gets time to get your sides, I actually kind of tuck my fingers in like this, and you know, this is just meant, just have fun. It's like going back to kindergarten. It looks good. I like that blue color.
Oh, I like that.
And then you've got peach.
Yeah, kind of a pinky peach.
I like it. Yeah, looking good. My thing is that I don't like, I guess because I'm an impatient person at times, I do a real thin coat, and literally like I'll do the front and then I'll do my sides. So by the time I'm done with the last side, I'm ready to put another coat on the front. And that way, if you put several light coats on, it's not like, you know, you've got to put it on, then wait 5 to 6 hours and then come back and do it again. And actually, you're getting really, I wondered how coverage with a darker color would be, but you're getting pretty good coverage this time. So you both are. Excellent painters. Have you tried pouncing yet at all?
It made bubbles.
Ah, okay.
Maybe I was pouncing too hard. But it makes the
oh yeah, I can
a
see
little
bubbles
more
with it.
textured.
All right.
So
and these have quite a bit of texture to them to begin with. So I didn't really want to. It wasn't that I wanted to add another color, and I really contemplated just leaving them the basic white when I did the models, but
it's pretty stark.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So I just, like I said, just kind of knocked that little white down a little bit. You don't realize how many different shades of white there are until you go to the paint aisle.
So do I need to worry about painting the back?
I didn't. I wouldn't.
Okay.
And actually, we'll talk about that. Thanks for bringing that up. I obviously did not. Here, I'm going to grab one of the finished. You guys have paint on your hands. I'm not letting you touch the finish.
No, yeah.
For purposes during market, I didn't cover the backs. And you can see I put a little sawtooth in there because we had these hanging in the room. But you could certainly just like cover this with, say, a piece of wool felt, or, and then as we'll talk about, maybe you want to leave it undone because nobody's going to see the back. And if you're going to make just one block and switch all your months out, you want to be able to get back there.
Yep.
Or you could even like tack a little piece of fabric in there with thumbtacks and you can just open it up. So lots of options. So no, I wouldn't worry about getting the back.
Okay.
Good question though. All right. All right, you guys are both doing a really good job. And if you're like, well, okay, now at this point, you may want to let that set and dry a little bit. You've got, some thicker in some areas. And so that to me says, okay, that should dry for just a minute or two. And then maybe just go back with another real thin layer to kind of even some of it out when it's dry. And literally I just set it on that handy dandy paper plate and pick it up in a moment. So, are you guys pretty happy with that? How that's looking? All right. Any questions on this really difficult process of dry brushing? So the foam brushes, hobby store, your deco craft paint, hobby store, you probably, face it. I pulled out a bin and said, pick a color.
That's right. Yep.
We probably all have that drawer. So, so this provides the base, whether it's going to be a solid. Now, other things you could do, because we actually contemplated a lot of these, like, how do I want to finish it? Could you Mod Podge fabric on there? Sure, you could. You could Mod Podge scrapbook paper, anything to give a nice background. But as I said, I wanted just a nice neutral background. Each one of the squares has white in it, so I knew personally that I wanted white. But definitely at one point I thought about painting each square a different color to coordinate with that month. So which I think would be lovely.
Yes,
so,
you could switch. You could buy like 3 or 4, like you said, split with somebody, and then switch those 3 or 4 kind of
exactly.
out. Yeah,
exactly. So okay,
you don't have to have one for every month.
All right. Well, instead of stopping the camera, why don't you guys go ahead and we'll move on to the next step if you feel like want to let that dry a little bit.
Can I put a little coat on there?
Why don't we put them, stick them over there just to, because we're gonna start having fabric and we don't want that falling in. Okay, and yep, you gotta, and you kind of go back, and where you got little clumps, you want to definitely smooth those out. Oh, see, now look, you put another coat. Sorry, I'm hitting you. You put another coat on there, and now look how nice and blue that is and solid. You don't have any of the
this
the
is
modeling.
going to need another, I think it needs another coat.
Yeah. Okay, and then I would just, for you, I would just actually go one more time this way with no more paint. No more paint.
Oh, no more paint.
No more paint. Because you got a couple marks that go this way and a couple that go that way.
I'm just going to do my sides and then I will set it.
I think you'll be done.
Yeah, I like that color.
Yeah, really, when we're doing dry brushing technique, the less paint, the better. And the trick is a little bit of paint and several coats.
I think that's better.
Yep.
Several thin coats.
And let's see.
I have several thin coats on my hands too.
Okay.
Does she want us to set that?
I have another.
Thank you.
You'll have to share because these are a hot commodity around here. So if you guys want to go ahead and put your blocks on that paper plate, set them on their backside so we don't get the.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And sorry, I don't have paper towels. Do you need a paper towel?
No, I'm good. It's a thin coat.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so go ahead and set your paint to the side. All right, so we've got our blocks painted. Now we're going to work on actually going ahead and stretching and lacing our needlework and getting it prepped to put on top of our board. So we're going to need a couple pieces of, well, if you're going to do all 12, you'll need 12, but for our purposes, I've pre-cut these. This is just a regular old mat board. It's let's see, I think it's 3 1/4. No, 3 1/2. All right, I cut them 3 1/2. I have done lessons before on how to cut your mat board, so maybe check out some of the previous videos. This is just basically a plain piece of mat board. I'll demonstrate really quickly here. I just laid it on here. I used my my lines on my cutting mat, and then counted over 3 1/2 inches. Of course, making sure it's all nice and square. And then used my blade, scored again, and usually once or twice, 2 or 3 times through, and then you'll break that off, and then same thing on this, and I got my nice 3 1/2 inch square. That's a good size when you're going to do this on 32 count over 2 or 16 count. These are definitely Ada friendly designs, so that'll work. But I always like to put a little poof on my mat board when I go to lace. Okay, and do you like to do 1 layer, 2 layers?
I do 1 typically.
Okay. Now in the models, this is actually 2 layers.
Oh.
A lot of times on my ornaments, I do 2 layers on the front and maybe 1 on the back. Sometimes I don't do any on the back. Just kind of depends on the look you want. But I've got 2 behind here. But I use a thin, like a warm and natural type batting. So do you want to grab that batting right there? And then Lorna, do you want to grab the scissors and the double-sided tape? All right. So this is the stitchery tape. Do you carry this at your shop?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So it's a double-sided acid-free tape. Somebody commented in one of the videos, you don't need to keep saying double-sided tape, double-sided acid-free. I don't know. It just kind of rolls off the tongue for me now. But anyway, stitchery tape, we'll call it that. I like working with this because you can cut to whatever length you need, and you can actually even subcut it longer, which we will be doing. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, I always like to put a piece on my mat board that we will peel back and adhere the 2 layers of batting. It just keeps it from floating around, and we only need 1 layer on the bottom. We don't need 1 between the 2 layers because they'll kind of stick together. So I'm not going to tell you cut it a certain length. I'm just eyeballing a piece and I'm going to stick it right in the middle. So there, you guys can do the same thing. I hope we're all getting on camera with this. All right. paint. And this just happened to be some leftover batting from the edge of a quilt. Those are, you quilted a quilt for me, and I cut this off the edge when I was trimming it. And these are great kind of pieces to keep because it's perfect for this project. So this is actually already 2-layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel. And you can do it with fingernail or you can do it with the edge. Look at those 2 pros over there. And I'm gonna put it sticky side down onto my batting. How about a rotary cutter? Thank you. And I'm just gonna trim this so I can hand this off to them. And then you can use scissors, fabric scissors, or you can use the rotary cutter. I find it's just easy with the rotary cutter. And I just trim the extra batting. And you'll notice I like to leave just a scant bit. And when I mean scant, I mean it's just a scant bit hanging over the edge of the mat board. And it just kind of helps get a nice edge, a nice clean but soft edge. And everybody, you'll notice I close the rotary cutter. Oh, we need a garbage can close by. Laura, are you comfortable with the rotary cutter or do you like the scissors?
I prefer scissors.
Okay, yep, and nothing wrong with that. You can do either one.
I'm always afraid I'm going to cut my hand off.
Oh, please don't do that.
Yeah.
However, will you ship?
Well, this is, yes. How would I stitch?
Yep. Well, that too. Okay. Okay, Lorna's all cut up, so we're all ready to go. We'll get that out of the way. You want to put that over there, and you want to grab our linen pieces? All right, so these are our these are our fancy.
We have stitched so beautifully. I'm so proud of us.
I know. So this is mine. I'm November. You, Jenny, are December. And Lorna is January. We didn't realize that we were like all the, months right in a row. So what I actually did is your design on 16 or 32 count is going to come out to about 3 inches. So this is approximately a 3-inch square on there. I just did this so that, obviously we didn't have time to stitch all these, but so you guys can get a little practice on centering the design. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to have you do, let's clear some of this. Is I'm going to have you hold it up, put it, on top of your, this is the mat boards on the back and then the batting. And then just kind of you can see through it in the light, just sort of eyeball center it. That's all you really need to do. The first thing we're going to worry about though is trimming down all this excess linen. We don't want to have to lace all that on the back. It's just going to create too much bulk on the back. So I'm going to have you, trim this to within a 1 inch of the mat board. So once you feel like you're pretty well centered, just take the whole thing and put it down.
How's that look?
It looks good. Okay, now if you can pick it up and turn it January side down, or jelly side down. Okay, then this, you can either do rotary cutter with the ruler or you can cut it. You can lay your ruler on it like this on the edge of the mat board and then trim the excess just like that and then turn it all around, even if you have one of those handy dandy little turning mats, which are so helpful when you're doing ornaments. And you can see I cut mine the smallest just because I'm probably more comfortable with lacing than most. You want to do that or you want to do scissors?
Nope.
Do you want scissors, Lorna?
Yeah, I'll take scissors.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Now, do we have to worry, you can kind of see the line there. Do you want us to stay as straight as possible?
If you can.
Along that line?
It does help, but you don't have to stay within the, like when you pull a thread and it's more important, say, if you're pre-cutting your linen, sub-cutting a big piece for stitching on it, but for finishing purposes, if you're an inch and it might not necessarily stay in the line, the woven line, you're fine.
That's nice and straight.
See now, okay, not to pick on you. See, Lorna's is not, don't cut it anymore. All right. See,
Okay.
because I know you were going to start to do that
I was
to
gonna
even it up.
out.
Don't worry about that because I'd rather you have this. That's okay because we're going to lace this.
Okay.
I would be more concerned that you're too concerned about making it even and you're cutting too much fabric away and you won't have enough fabric to
Okay.
lace through, to grab with the needle.
That
Okay?
makes sense.
And I think it's easier to do that when you have a scissor compared to a rotary
Yes,
cutter.
absolutely. But I'm kind of glad that happened. So that's a good little lesson there. All right, and we're almost there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna lace, and while you guys are finishing up, I'm just gonna start talking. I use an upholstery weight thread. Again, I get it, craft stores, that kind of thing. I like a long, and when I say long strand, I mean long, only because I'm lazy and I don't like to have to start and stop. I like to be able to get all the lacing done because we're gonna lace across this way, then we're gonna turn it and we're gonna lace across this way. And it would be nice because this is small enough to not have to end and begin. But if we have to do that this time, that's okay. So again, I always kind of every once in a while, yep, I still look pretty good, pretty centered. I'm always checking my front out, making sure I'm still kind of centered. It's okay at this point when we begin lacing, we'll have another opportunity to double check our centeredness. So again, I feel pretty good. I'm centered. So go ahead and let's see, there is a needle in here. And then Lorna, if you want to grab a needle out of there. And I would suggest a sharp needle. Can you grab me a needle too, please? Thank you. I'm going to actually work with a shorter thread just because I want to show you just kind of if I have to begin and end. And this is, like I said, you could use doll making thread or this is upholstery weight thread. Whew, and apparently at one point I got frustrated with this and I cut it. Did you lose your thread?
Mine landed on the floor.
So with upholstery weight thread, you can just use one strand. So go ahead and thread up with your needle, and then you're going to want to put a knot in the other end. Knot is something we're always used to doing as
cross stitchers.
All right. How did you make your knot? Did you do the quilter's knot?
I did.
Okay, me too. So with that, you'll just put your needle over the end, wrap it a couple times, and then hold that knot and pull it down. And you get a knot. And sometimes I go one or two more times over it just in case.
Yeah, I got a knot all right.
Yeah, sometimes when you do the quilter's knot, if you have such a long strand like we have here,
Yeah.
it is easy to get it tangled. Now, you don't pin. A lot of times when I lace, I pin, but I suppose because this is so small, that's why we're not
Because
pinning.
it's small and because this is mat board, not foam core.
Okay.
Do you pin through mat board as
I
well?
do.
Oh, okay.
I will put little pins in there. It just kind of helps me keep it centered.
And you could totally do that with
Yep,
this.
okay.
I guess I didn't pin because I knew like I would want to take them out and I didn't want to make holes in my linen or anything like that because you'll see the edge.
Yep.
But depending on what you want to do.
Okay.
So I like to, so you kind of, just for point of reference with everybody, you two are facing, I'm this way. So I like to fold kind of into myself, kind of, how do I want to say, horizontally. No, it would be vertically.
Vertically.
So what I like to do, and I'll show first kind of what I'm going to do, is I fold my linen over top, and I like to start up here, and I'm just going to, you can see I'm kind of close to my edge here, and I'm going to go in and out of my linen with just a little scoop, pull my needle all the way through, then very close to it, I do it again in a very similar spot. Okay. And then I pull tight. I hold tight. You kind of learn to hold that linen or hold that thread with one of your fingers. So now what I did, the reason why I did it twice there is if my knot isn't big enough, it does help kind of lock it in place, because I like to pull hard, and there's nothing worse than lacing across and then all of a sudden you go boop, 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 boop at the other end because your knot came loose. So then I'm going to come across, and again, close to the edge of the mat board, I'm going to do, I'll move my hands out of the way. I did another little scooping stitch on this side. And then you're going to pull that, and you can see how tight I'm pulling. So then I work my way up this way, and another scooping stitch.
Like that?
Uh-huh. Now, if you're not comfortable, you can see how I'm holding on to my thread to really hold that tension in there, and Lorna is not. That's okay, because you can go back and pull on those and put that tension back into it. So you could even lace it and then go back and pull everything. I just prefer to, I know my hand just kind of automatically does it, I think now. But one thing I want to talk about is I do that scooping stitch. So I'm going in and out of the linen so that my needle is running parallel to the edge of the linen. And I'm about halfway between the edge of the piece and then the cut side of my linen. So I don't want to be too close to the cut side of my linen, so when I pull, it pulls through the linen. And I want to explain something here. I don't want to just go into the linen and pull, because with certain linens, you'll get a pull that will go all the way to the front of your piece. Whereas if you do the scoop, you're kind of dividing the tension across of it. So I find it's a little bit easier. And I'm going to take that back out. I don't know, I just have always kind of called it like I'm scooping through the linen. And I'm working my way across. And you know, if you're kind of feeling, oh, see, now that looks really good. You pulled that nice and tight.
Oh.
These are sharp needles.
Look at you go, girl.
Now, a lot of people ask, how close should my stitches be together? Jenny, you could probably actually go a little farther apart.
Okay.
And mine are probably about a ½ inch. If I was doing a bigger piece or maybe a linen that was a little looser, definitely I would do tighter stitches like that. And we're just going to keep lacing across. It must be kind of fun for people to see 3 different people lacing, so you can kind of see.
I'm used to being it close, so now I'm having to rethink.
No, and there's nothing wrong with it being close, so keep doing it close if you want to. Okay, so I've actually gotten to my end here. So I'm going to, because I'm going to want to turn it over and check my centered.
Yeah.
See if I'm still centered. So I call this a security knot. I'm actually going to run my needle back through the linen over here. And I'm going to make then run my needle through the hoop. Little knot. And that way too, as we turn, if something were to happen, it's a safety knot. It just kind of helps hold everything into place. And I've knotted my tail in. Okay. Don't knot your tail in. So you can see I'm like holding it, and my stitches, it's still nice and taut. Okay. So I'm going to turn over, and I'm not looking too bad here. I got a little wavy line here. So here's when, before we start stitching or lacing the other way, this is when we want to move it around. Make sure I'm still nice and centered. Then sometimes you see little wrinkles there, little poofs there. I just give it a nice little tug on both sides, and that takes away a lot of that. Then I also kind of go like this. Now granted, my squares were not exactly 3 inches that I hand drew on here, but I feel like this is pretty centered. If I wasn't centered, this now is when I would make the adjustments. Because once we start lacing the other way, it really locks it into place. You have a little bit of freedom, but so you can kind of see so Lauren, I would maybe want to scoot that over a little bit, just kind of play with it.
Oh my, I'm way off too.
Yep. See, now's when you get an opportunity to.
Better?
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's quite pliable to move around.
So now, and you did not cut your thread, so you just pick that needle up. This is again why I'd like a fairly long thread. So that's where I put my knot. So I actually then like to pull in the direction away from the where I had my knot, because then this kind of helps pull. You can see that how that pulls that in. And then I'm going to turn these over. But before I do, I kind of give this corner just a little tug, and then I fold it over. Then, so it almost looks like a Christmas package. So you'll end up with this one thread kind of going diagonally across. Then I can take a couple little tacking stitches through the linen here on the edge, through the fold.
Okay.
And that helps give you a nice corner. And I'm gonna take a couple, and it helps kind of tack that flap down.
That?
Okay, except where did you end? Okay, so I want you to drag your thread across this way, and I want you to do the opposite corner.
Okay.
Do like the corner, start lacing at the corner, like kind of in the opposite direction diagonally from where you, and see, same thing with you. Where did you go?
I'm right here.
Okay, but where did you end with your knot? Let's back up a second.
Oh, right up
right there.
here.
So then I want you to go to this corner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So start right here.
Totally kitty wampus.
Totally kitty wampus. And you might find it easier if you put your needle in the opposite direction, Lorna. Go
like
from
this?
the linen that's already been laced through the.
I don't know if I can do that.
Okay. Or do whichever way you prefer.
Like this?
Yes.
Like that?
Yep. Here, we'll get that out of your way. We'll get that out of your way. All right. And then I just did a couple little tacking
Along there.
tacking stitches to tack that fold down. Okay. All right, so you're probably good on that. Then what I'm going to do, okay, let's let Lorna do one more, Lorna. There you go, you got it now. And again, yeah, always just kind of keep an eye on the front. Am I still in good shape? Yep. Okay. So now you've tacked this corner down. So now you're going to do the opposite corner. Same thing. And you can see I have pulled tight enough that look how my linen's sort of scooped in anyway. So with this one, I can actually just fold that over. And I'm going to do the same thing with the tacking stitches.
Like that?
You'll do this one.
Oh, well, you said opposite.
Wait a minute. Sorry, I was looking at you wrong. Okay, you did that. No, you were correct. This one.
That one, okay.
Because think of it, now we're lacing in this direction. So we're setting our thread up to go in that direction. And I'm going to and I've had people say, oh, my lacing looks so messy. It's okay. Nobody's going to see this part. So, so you can see I've done a couple tacking stitches there. All right, looking good, looking good. Let's let Lorna take that one last one, and then we'll start lacing across this last side. Yeah, you do have to watch out for the like the thread that the long lacing thread that gets caught on the front. Okay, so now that you've tacked down your two sides, you're kind of set to go in the opposite direction now and lace back and forth, side to side, as you did on the first. And we're going to work our way this way.
Okay,
So where's your thread? Now you're
there.
going to want to, okay, so you'll want to, you know, I think what happened with you is I would have suggested going, because you're actually working the way a lefty might. And that's okay. It's still,
I'm ambidextrous.
there you go. Okay, good. Well,
Big words, yes. I had to look that one up.
okay, so now you're going to want to take this thread across this way.
Okay.
And you'll scoop stitch and you're going to go back and forth in this direction.
Okay.
Until we get to the opposite side, and then we're going to tack these down the same way on this side, the same way we did over here.
Okay.
And then you'll
so
end.
I come this way.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself wanting to catch that board, which like a lot of times when I do this, I use foam core, and I can kind of sometimes catch the board
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah.
for
I
a
bet.
little more stability.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, a little harder to catch
Yeah.
that board. Okay. So I'm just gonna, while you're kind of set going the right way, I'm gonna keep scoop stitching across mine. You guys can hear my stomach. Hopefully the camera can't. Apparently it's lunchtime. Okay. And I think I'm gonna have to demonstrate how to end and begin a thread.
I will too.
Okay, I'm gonna do one more stitch here. Okay, all right. And I'm gonna take a peek. Yep, I'm still looking pretty centered here. It still has a little give even when you're doing this second side, so, but just make sure you keep peeking out to the front and everything looks nice and centered still. Now, I do not have much more thread to lace anymore, even though I'm almost to the end. So I did that last scoop stitch on here. So I'm gonna go through and scoop a little bit again with my needle. And I'm gonna pull till I have a loop left. Put my needle through the loop. You can see I'm really holding to keep that tension in. Mm-hmm. And then I tighten it and I made a knot. And I'm going to actually make a couple more because I don't want this to come out. All right. Make a couple more. Look like maybe the snow stopped a little bit. Okay, and then, all right, instead of just cutting right here, I don't like to cut right next to the knot. I tend to take my needle and run it through the linen, and I call it running away from where my knot is. And then I'm going to come over here, and I'm gonna cut it over here, because I feel like if I cut too close to the knot, I don't want it to, there's a lot of tension on those knots, so I don't want it to come undone.
Work its way up.
Yep. So I will just thread up with a little more of the, and I realize when we're breaking it down like this, lacing can sound very fiddly and difficult. It's really not.
No, once you get the hang of it, it is pretty easy.
You just need to take your time.
And just lots of practice.
Yeah.
Lots of practice.
So I did a much shorter thread this time because I only need to do a few bits of lacing. So, but I'm still gonna do my little quilter's knot. Somebody, if you really want a good video on how to do this quilter's knot, Simple Stitches, the gals out in Utah that have done fabric packs for my different things, she did a really good video on doing the quilter's knot. It's really not that, it's not that difficult.
No, it's not.
So
Speak for yourself, ladies.
okay, so I just went ahead, did the same thing, started on the side where my next scoop stitch would be, ran my needle through, and I'm gonna, in a scooping motion, and I'm gonna put a second one in just in the same place, just like we did when we started, and I'm good to go. Start lacing, continue lacing across, pick it up seamlessly.
What do you think?
Oh, I like it. It looks good. And so
I think this is such a beautiful color.
Your stitching is marvelous.
It is marvelous,
Okay.
just marvelous.
So I've gotten to the end here now, so I really can't scoop stitch anymore. So much like I did these little folds over here with the little tacking stitches, I'm actually going to see my last scoop stitches here. So I'm pulling it. You always kind of want to pull in the opposite direction so everything looks nice and smooth on the front. So now I'm going to take a couple more tacking stitches here on this side. Again, that gets you that nice crisp corner. And then I'm going to come across to this side. And I'm going to do a couple on that side.
Okay. I did that as I went.
And final tacking stitch. Looking good on the front. And so then I'm going to do the same thing, run back through again with my needle, leave a loop, needle through the loop. I'm going to do a couple of them. And then I'm going to I'm pretty happy with those two, so I'm going to run my needle through the fabric layers. And just so the end of my thread is away from my knot. And trim it.
Okay, so I'm like to my corners here. I'm going to take a scoop stitch here.
I think you can do a scoop stitch there still, and one there. You may even be able to, let's see how it turns out. Maybe we'll do another round. I would go back right there.
Okay.
Okay. I would actually still take one more small one there, and then one there.
Okay.
And then we'll be to your flaps. Looks good. Nice job. See, lacing isn't so bad. Now, when you frame, do you lace?
Yeah, the majority of the time I lace.
Okay. It's just not, it's not that difficult, and to me it's like hand binding a quilt.
Right, true.
I don't always love hand binding a quilt, but then I feel like, I don't know, there's that part of me like, I don't know.
I think when the design has specific lines, sometimes it's a little harder.
Yep.
That's when I really pin.
Yes.
When I have
when
a border.
Yes, like so you say if you had this line on
Yes.
on all four sides, that's why a lot of times you'll find my designs don't. You kind of have that uneven, negative space kind of edge. And yeah, am I perfect there? Yeah, probably. Yeah, and see, even still, there's a little bit of give to it. So,
okay, so now I want to tack that down.
Where did you end up?
I'm here.
Okay, so let's come to this side because you want to pull against down. Yeah, you want to pull against that to help help keep it nice and tight on the front. Okay.
And then just go across the opposite way.
Do a couple there.
Or to the side that needs to be tacked yet.
Yep. I'll put that next to that so you can see what it looks like on the front and the back. Nice job. Oops. Yep, don't need that. You know how many times I've been doing an ornament and I'm thinking, oh, it's lovely. And then you'd look at the front and there's string going across it.
A lot of times I'll use pearl cotton.
Yes,
That
I have
works.
used pearl cotton too.
Number 8 or works pretty good.
You said 8?
Number 8.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a little more give to it. Sometimes that's why I like it for bigger projects. You can really pull with it. I don't mind the upholstery weight thread on
No,
this.
this worked really good too.
Sometimes for bigger projects, I don't like it because it's not as giving, and you almost want a little more give on the bigger projects.
The nice thing about the pearl cotton ball is if you, I use it quite a bit because there's a lot on there.
Yeah. Do you use it in one?
I try to, but sometimes it doesn't always,
Yeah.
especially if it's big.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and take your, kind of put your needle through there and let it run away so you don't cut by the knot. It's just a little weird, something I started doing.
But that's good because there is a lot of tension on there, and if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have quite enough of a knot, then that helps.
Yep. There you go. Ta-da! You're good. Here, let's take that away. And look at that. They're all pretty. And see, even now, like if you wanted to, you could still kind of, I'm not saying you have to, but you could still kind of scoot it just a little bit.
Manipulate it a little
I mean,
bit.
if you're like way off, well, then you're probably going to have to cut some of the lacing and move it. And then, but that's the nice thing is you could cut some of the lacing on this last part because you've got that safety knot, and then you can move things. You don't have to relace the entire thing. Okay, so what we're gonna wanna do next, I put this rickrack around it. Now, the linen for this is actually, I don't even know what this is. I grabbed it from my unknown pile. And then this is actually the 32 count Driftwood Fabrics by Stephanie. I really like this fabric when she showed it to me. It's a really, it'd be good for a lot of projects. It's a pretty mottled beigey. It's got some deeper brown tones, deeper green tones, even some gray tones in it. And so, it's hand dyed, so each one's gonna look a little different. Although I really like her consistency from batch to batch. So then what I wanted was, I did want some trim around it, and Lady Dot dyed this. It's called Bird's Nest, and it was a color that she had, but I wanted something to really finish the edge nicely, but not take away, because there's a lot going on in these little squares. But I just kind of wanted that edge to sort of, go away and finish it nicely. So sort of skim from stitching to trim. But you wouldn't have to. You could put, if you painted this a different color, you could then do rickrack in something that coordinated with the piece.
Or make a twill,
cording.
cording.
Anything, lots of possibilities. But everybody always says, how do you get such nice corners? So I'm going to share my secret. So why don't you grab, let's see, I ironed out some rickrack there. And so what I do is, actually, I'm going to trim this edge because we don't want that part.
Do you put any glue on there, Kathy? Or do you don't? You don't finish it in any way, sew it or anything?
I don't. You could if you wanted to dab a little bit of glue on that. It's really, because it's, Lois uses a nice cotton rickrack, and then also by the time it gets dyed and heated, I feel like a lot of the fibers really shrink, and I don't find that there's an issue with it unraveling. Okay. So typically I don't. Okay. It's weird to think that the cotton wouldn't unravel, but like say a nylon or something like that would definitely unravel, and then you would definitely want to
put a little clear fingernail polish or dab a little tacky glue or something.
Yes, exactly. So what I do is I like, oh, thank you. You're gonna save me from many messages.
We're not taking you to the emergency room for.
Okay, so what I like to do is I cut a nice clean edge there, and you'll notice I cut like right in the middle, like the peak and the valley. I cut at a valley, and I like it just to sort of stick out from the edge there. And the trick is, I'm not doing one long piece of rickrack. We're gonna have 4 pieces of rickrack. Okay, so really, if you look at it, you don't even realize that there's no rickrack in the corner. It's so hard to get it to turn the corner nicely, or without getting it bunched, or it curls over, or whatever. So I actually am going to cut 4 different pieces of rickrack. So you'll see that's kind of, I started at a valley there. So peak, 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 peak. And this worked out really well because there's another valley right there. So that's where I'm going to cut my piece. I won't cut my finger, I promise. All right, so I would want to maybe press that a little bit, but we can definitely work with it like that. So since this is a perfect square, I want 3 more pieces that are that size. So then you just need to cut all the way through, and you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you're wondering what I'm counting the peaks because they should all be the same. All right. And technically you guys get to use that number because yours are the same size as mine.
That's what I was thinking when she did it. I was like,
so
whoa.
you can either cut with the scissors, cut with the rotary, but you need 4 pieces.
Okay. You all got quiet.
I know it did. We're concentrating on the counting. Now, when you're trying to decide, you know, how this just worked out really well. This is a 1/2 inch rickrack that I was able to get a nice distance between the corner and then the first peak. And same thing over here. Sometimes, you know, it just depends on the size. Like if this was, say, maybe 1/8 of an inch bigger, so it wouldn't allow me for one more peak. But so sometimes your corners are a little more bare, but I'm actually usually okay with that. I would prefer that than kind of the clump in the corner,
right.
I guess is what I'm saying. So, it's just a fun little trick. And sometimes even when I've done ornaments where I have rickrack on the bottom and then say the top is domed, now because of the nature of rickrack, it does, you know, because it's sort of, I don't want to say it's on the bias, but it's the way it's woven. It's got a lot of give to it.
Right.
It doesn't like turning an angle, but it does like turning a curve. So this might be one solid piece and then a separate piece on the bottom. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So let's see, Lauren is almost ready there with her
One more.
final piece. All right. Go ahead and close your rotary, get her up. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is,
Make sure it's right side up.
there you go. So I'm going to cut a piece of double-sided tape, and again, not real scientific here. I tend to hover over my piece with the tape to figure out how long I want it to be, because like you can't put it down on something and cut it. So you just have to kind of eyeball it at times. And if you see, I'm taking my thumbnail and I kind of creased the tape there, and that's my cut line. And that's where I cut. So now it's up to you guys. The beauty is if you need more, you can add more. If it's too long, we can cut a little bit off. There you go. Okay. And while Lauren is cutting, oh, she'll need this. Now what we're going to do is this one piece will do all 4 sides because we're going to subcut the length. Now you can do, since we're going to do 2 sides first, if you want to just cut it in half,
Okay.
and then park a piece somewhere, park it on something plastic or that it won't stick to. And then I cut it in half, and then I'm cutting the half in half. So we're getting 1/4. All right. So I'm ending up with 2 thin, and I've got 1 left here for the final 2 sides. And you don't have to measure. This is just I guess,
an
oh my
eyeball.
gosh, yep.
Yeah, because it sticks to the...
Yeah. And that's why I designate sticky scissors a lot. Like when I go to classes, I bring sticky scissors because I generally get the inexpensive ones. Although my 99-cent scissors that I use like for sticky scissors are no longer 99 cents.
No.
Much like everything else, they're now like $1.99.
Gone up.
All right, we'll let Lorna get hers cut. And even sometimes when it's close to the end like that, you can go and rip it a little bit. All right.
Sorry, guys, I'm slow.
No, you're fine. You're doing just fine. Yeah, just put it on something plastic, the tape, or your hand. That works. Okay, so we're gonna take these, and I like to do opposite sides first, okay? So I also want to put this on the very edge. All right, see how close to the edge? Because we're going to be catching part of the rickrack. Now we don't want it to go over the edge. We don't want to see it, but it's on the very edge. And I'm going to put those two on. I'm a little sad about giving this secret away, but I mean, it's not like it's a
trademark.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what I do. A lot of people are going, oh. Well, hopefully maybe they are.
The light
so
bulb goes on.
when you adhere it to linen like this, you really want to like use your fingernails and get in there and work it in. That, and it sounds counterintuitive, but by really adhering it well, it's easier to pull off.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to show you guys what I'm going to do first. We're going to lay you might have to iron this a little bit. I think we should be okay. So I'm laying this, and what I'm going to do is I'll peel, and then I'm going to actually attach it this way. I'm not going to like really pounce down. I'm going to very gently lay it onto the rickrack, pick it up so that I can still play with it and adjust my edges a little bit. So you guys go ahead and do that. I often find I need to use the X-Acto for the lift a corner. Once you get a corner up, then you're golden. Oh. How did I get blue paint on me?
I had blue paint on me too.
I don't know. I just wanted to share the wealth.
Yeah, you did. That's funny. Okay.
Okay. This is being a little obstinate.
It
Yes,
can
it
be
is.
on fabric.
No.
And sometimes I find even if you have to go from the middle, you can do that too. And just kind of rip it back. Okay, 5 hours later, we're still trying to pull this off.
Pull the tape off.
And if that corner won't work, go to another corner. So this is what our third day of spring, and we're finally getting a dose of winter, huh? Okay, so here's, I have one side exposed, and I'm just going to lay this down, and I'm going to just kind of center over it and just tap it a little bit so I can pick that up. Okay. Now I can go and just play with it a little bit. And you really see, this is why I wanted that tape so close to the edge, because really it's not on the back. You know, you're just really dividing that rickrack in half. What I really want to adjust is the cut edge. We were talking about how, whether I seal those or anything.
Sure.
Only thing I really do is I kind of pick it off the tape a little bit, and I just sort of turn it down just ever so slightly so you don't see the cut edge.
Sure.
Just hide it a little bit. That's all you really need to do. There. And then you can kind of with your finger just sort of dab it on there a little bit better.
Okay, so I have a corner that's popping up. Do I want to turn that?
Yep, I think so.
Okay,
There
there.
you go. Yep, now you got it.
That.
Uh-huh. And then
Oops.
just, yeah, I just do it enough to just kind of pick it up, and then it's not on there. So did you?
There you go.
It helps to use the side.
It helps to
Okay,
use-
important lesson. Use the side that you peeled the
Yeah,
tape
you
off.
peeled the tape off. All right.
That's
I wonder
cute.
how many others in class have done that.
Okay. All right. It looks good, Lorna.
So just do the same thing
Yep.
down here.
Well, it helps to have it on the sticky.
Yep. So it's, you know, it's, you still have a lot of sticky exposed. That's okay, because that's going to help us on the following step. So, yep, we'll do the opposite side.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
My tape peeled.
Well, here's the beauty. You can add more tape. All right.
Worked pretty good for me to.
Helps if you had a little iron. I don't know. I thought I ironed these. I think it cut. I wadded
the moisture in
yeah,
there.
I wadded it up. Okay, I'm just gonna tap down on that a little bit, and I'm gonna play with it. Okay. And sometimes even if in like moving around with it, if a little cut edge sort of pops up to the surface, you know what I do? I just take a nice sharp little scissors and I go snip, and nobody sees it. And it's all good. All right, how's it going there?
Oh, it's not going very well.
Oh, you're fine. All right, looks good. You got it. Okay, I'm gonna steal my piece of tape here. Can I have the scissors, please? The sticky scissors. Not the the fabric scissors. All right, so I cut my final piece. You guys already did that. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this across in the same way. Now, it may well adhere over the previous rickrack, and that's okay. You actually kind of want it to do that. You want to go edge to edge because we want to be able to tack that at the edge of the rickrack in. So you got to be a little careful of all the, the stickiness. So that's kind of what the back looks like. Now I'm ready to go ahead and peel. We're all very brave with all these scissors and sharp objects.
And nobody has cut themselves yet.
Shh. We're not
Sugar.
done yet.
I know, I thought she was going to say, we're on video, Lorna.
No, we're not done yet.
Okay. All right. Just get a corner. There we go.
I will say it's much easier when you use a whole piece of tape. This is pretty forgiving stuff to work with.
It is. And then you just do the same thing. Just kind of tap it down into that. See how a little bit I touched it, and then I can kind of play with it. You might even have to go back and adjust a previous piece. Oop. There we go. I want to pull that back out a little bit. I want to avoid having my corners dip in too much. I don't want that look necessarily.
That must be your piece.
Okay, final edge. All right. Everybody doing okay? All right, tap it down one more time. Okay. Home stretch, ladies.
Good. Get my last piece peeled off of here.
How are your boards looking? They're looking pretty dry. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
nice. Okay, good.
Well, you know, I did this. This is the way you finished Cookie Exchange, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I didn't have as much trouble with that as I'm having today.
What did Jenny say earlier? It's the humidity.
That's right. I was just going to say that. It's the humidity.
Yeah, just get that out of your way.
Blame it on the weather. We can everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's not a right and a wrong side to this.
I don't feel like there is.
Okay.
Not in,
So we don't need to worry about that.
No. The only directional thing you need to pay attention to is that your valley is the ending point for the side.
A couple times I've noticed that I get a little edge like that. So that, oh yeah, I do have a lot of paint.
So you just kind of tuck it down.
Yeah, I
in there?
just kind of tucked it down in there because I didn't want that
showing. Yep. And then if it comes back up again, you know, after you attach it, like I said, we talked about just kind of going in and snipping it.
Yep.
And, you know, as I've said, you know, one of my common things to say is you're not going to play football with it. So
Right.
it's going to be just fine. Okay. You're fine. That's the nice thing about having a mess on the back. It's on the back. Nobody's going to see it.
It's just not sticking very well. See?
Okay, what are we looking at here?
Oh,
Right. Can I?
There. There. Yeah, see, it's all.
Can I see?
Yes, you can.
Okay. What are we looking at here? Okay, yeah, we got disappearing rickrack
Right.
here. So I'm going to pull up on this a little bit. And we're just going to pull back a little bit. Okay, it's part of the
It's
reason.
not close enough to the
Right,
edge.
it's a little too far away from the edge.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull back on this. I'm going to pull back on both those corners because those were the two corners that disappeared.
Okay.
And I want to be careful as I'm pulling it because I don't want to fray your rickrack and then we have to put a whole new piece of rickrack in. So I'm actually going to trim this out. And without cutting your lacing or anything like that, hopefully, and without cutting your rickrack. Okay, so we're gonna get a couple new pieces. I think what you were trying to
There's a
do.
small
Okay,
piece there.
I'm going to make them a little bit wider. A little surgical strike here, and let's see. All right, we can go a little bit shorter. That's what I like about this, you know, tape is that you can cut it. It really, you know, custom cut it. So see how close I am to the side
Okay.
there. So do you want to try and peel that off and lay your first side back down? There's that if you need it. So this way we could just fix the one corner and not,
have to take everything apart.
yep. There you go. While you're doing that, I'm gonna check something. I just had this really weird feeling.
I took a pin.
With my new camera setup, I wanted to check, make sure we were still recording. We could have gotten to the end and I would have said, oh, we got to do it again. You all would have been like, bye. All right. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Now lay your...
See, I'm all tangled up.
You're
here.
fine. You just...
Yeah, see, that's what happened the last
Okay.
time is I got it all.
Okay, I'm going to take that little piece out.
Well,
It's okay. You're doing just fine. Yeah, sometimes you need an extra little hand that's...
Maybe not that one. There you go. There you go.
There you go. Now let's look at the front. Okay, we're gonna pull this out just a little bit. So you're good there. Okay, you're good on that side. Now we gotta do something over here. Here's another thing I'm thinking that we could do.
Make it a frisbee.
No. Lorna.
No, you've done such beautiful stitching.
Yes.
Why would you want a frisbee that?
It wouldn't be the first time something went sailing across the room.
I can vouch for that. Okay, I'm gonna, I would not necessarily advise doing this like for the all in the beginning. However, since we're just trying to get this last corner down, something else we can do. Okay. All right.
My tape didn't want to stick to the fabric.
Yep. We're just gonna go like this.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm gonna pull up on this one a little bit. And do we have another piece here? Oh,
Yep.
We got another piece right here. And we're gonna go like that. And I wouldn't suggest doing this for like all four sides, but if you really felt like, oh, I just want to do it that way, go for it. I mean, there's just no,
There's no rules. That's
Yeah.
what I like about cross stitch and finishing.
Yes.
Everybody has different methods.
See, there you go. Now you look
Okay.
good. Okay. All right. One last round of stickery. Okay, stitchy
There you
tape,
go.
double-sided tape. Okay, so we want to, all right, let's talk about this a second. Since I did all of mine individually, and I did that because, well, they had to be, mine travel on trunk shows and things like that. And they really aren't that large to, you know, store, put a box full, just have a box handy. Okay, look, new month, you know, new monthly marker out, things like that. But if you really just wanted to do one board, I would say you definitely could probably do the old magnet trick, you know, glue a magnet to the back and then have a magnet on this side. And that's when it's nice to leave that open. I didn't actually try that, but I don't see magnets. They are very strong. I'd probably do 2 magnets, just so if you put one, you don't want it to turn
Velcro
or whatever.
can work too.
Velcro, I've done that before on those boards that we made, we were talking about earlier. So, so definitely, you know, many different options for just having one of these. But I'm going to actually show, since I did mine this way, then what I do now is I cut several, you could glue, but I do tend to like this tape, the stitchery tape. I actually put several layers in the middle. And I would, Lorna, for you, I'm actually going to suggest maybe just one right through the middle. Okay. Since your edges they're a little touch and go. I don't want to mess with them too much. So I would just put one in the middle, and then you could even do like a little bit of glue here. Okay. Right? We won't do that now since this isn't your permanent one, but that's maybe something I would suggest for yours. So we're going to lay in a couple strips of that. Jenny, I'll let you cut. And then, and grab your board, because I'm pretty sure they're dry.
Now I see that I had a little white here, so I would probably sometime like to just fill that in a little bit.
Another thing too, at this point, is if you kind of want like you want a slightly aged look, some other options is you can now take a block, a sanding block. Oh. And if you didn't want to go back and fill in that white, you could just kind of take a sanding block and kind of do your edges. When I sort of like to age something, that's, you know, I could make a bad joke about that, but I won't. But you know, you could kind of do your edges, and sometimes I pay a little extra concern to the corners. You could even do this, and then it looks like, you know, that's what you were going for. You could even also say, then you could cover it with like a paste wax. Sure. Seal it. And you could also get a stained paste wax to kind of deepen the color a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which would have been kind of cool on the white. I think it would have accented the fabric nicely, but lots of things you could do there.
You want to just put
for you, I would just do one right in the middle, because I don't want to mess with your edges too much.
Should I do another one? Like
I would just do one
right in the center.
Right in the center. And then, oops. you got it. There you go.
And peel the sticky out.
Peel it back. Now, what I did like about these, because they, you know, again, mine have traveled now to Nashville and they get packed, but usually I've got bubble wrap around them. But they did sort of, you know, there is some give to these boards, or to the, because this is canvas. So you can kind of see I can poof up on it a little bit, you know, by pushing behind. And I was not sure how I was going to like if that happened, because it actually didn't happen in the very beginning, and then I packed them to go to Nashville, and then we were at Nashville unpacking them, and I went,
oh,
they smushed in a little bit. I really don't mind it. Now, if you had a much larger canvas, I think it would be more noticeable, but with this, it's really not that noticeable. And if you do notice, I don't mind it actually on something like this. So my paint must have had a little bit of a sheen to it. You know, I thought it was a chalk paint, but it got a little gloss to it. Now where yours, you both ended up with kind of like a matte finish, which I also think looks very pretty. So, and then eyeball that center and place her down.
Come on.
How's that look, Kathy?
Looks good. And when you find, yeah, like, and I like how you did that. You placed it gently on there, and now just kind of use your fingertips to scoot it around. I even sometimes kind of like eyeballed it on using the grid lines on the mat, and kind of, okay, yep, I got about ½ inch on that side, ½ inch on that side. Yep, really just kind of eyeballing it, and then when you're happy with it, put it on a little bit more, and it should stick. I think you're good. Yeah, you're good. Yay!
I'm on the struggle bus getting all that tape off.
You want a pin?
I have one.
Okay.
There's the X-Acto knife here.
There we go.
All right, you got it.
Now if I can get the rest of my fingers off there.
You guys are gonna have sticky tape nightmares tonight. See now how Jenny put her block.
Yeah, and
right.
I did that. I kind of eyeballed ½ an inch, ½ an inch. So.
Yep, and then just kind of place it on lightly, make any final adjustments, and then kind of tap it in a little bit more.
Make sure I didn't put it on upside down.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that too. Yay, they all look so pretty. Nice, okay. So I decked each one of mine out with a little bow on top, and it's not even really a bow, it's just some cut ribbon. So what I do is I have 2 pieces of ribbon, and I always tell people, I love ribbons. I don't like, masses of ribbons. I remember I used to finish back in the, I don't know, early 2000s when everything was bedecked and bedazzled with, the more ribbons, the
better.
And I have amassed quite the ribbon collection over the years. Yet I still managed to buy more. And so I just wanted a nice simple ribbon. And as you can see, I'm kind of even pulling this one out. I just use a simple, ball head straight pin. And this way, because if these do get stored and my ribbon gets a little worn or travel weary, I can pull it out, put in a new one, or I find a pretty new ribbon and I think that would look better, because gosh, that's never happened. And so what I did is I actually cut 2 pieces, and then I kind of folded mine to kind of cut on the angle, and I made that little sort of V on the edges, and then the top one is a little bit shorter. I didn't even really measure. I knew I wanted my bottom one to kind of meet the edge of this, and this one to be about 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch smaller. So grab the ribbon, and I'm a ribbon waster. I just go, yep, that looks good, and then I will trim down to where I feel like I want it. I'd rather give it a haircut afterwards. There you go. The only thing I did then, because it's a pretty obvious pattern, is then I turned it so that the plaids, the heavy part of the plaid would be opposite. I
Okay.
don't know why. It just shows up a little bit better.
Oh, sorry.
And then hopefully those scissors won't get wonky on you. And then just cut my edges, and I laid the shorter one on top. I found my middle, and then I just stuck my pin in, kind of like ruched it almost, kind of rocked it back and forth 3 or 4 times through the middle, and then stuck it straight down into the foam core. You really want to make sure that you do hit foam core. So you might have to work it a little bit, because having it tuck into the foam core, much like when you pin into your foam core, that really helps hold it into place.
Okay.
And that way then you don't have to glue it or do anything, and I just put it in till the ball head goes down, and it just kind of makes just a cute little embellishment on the top. And I like the black and white, you know, it's just nice. It's a clean little classic look, and there's black and white in each one. And by having the neutral finish, my theory was that then the colors and the detail in each month would pop. And that's sort of what I wanted, but everybody has a different desire of what they want it to look like. So you make yours look like how you want it to look. I can't stress that enough. Other direction, Lorna.
Huh? Oops.
Nope. There you go. There you go. Now you got it. And that's why I always cut mine longer than they should be.
And now they're the same length.
Yep. So you want to like maybe the
just
top
trim it.
one just a little bit more. And it's kind of fun to, these are pretty easy to find the center of, or use your rickrack as a guide for centering it.
That's what I kind of did.
Yeah, like this.
Yep. Yay, look at that. Nice. And the reason why I chose these wide, the wide profile of the canvases is because
They can sit and don't have to.
They
They
don't
don't
need
have to have a hanger on
a
the back.
hanger or an easel or
If you had
anything
a-
like that.
A mantle, be kind of fun to sit 3 months at a time or
Yeah,
something.
and they're just this is a 5x5, and they're just a nice size. You can just kind of tuck them into a tablescape or on a shelf, or they're just a sitter. We call those sitters in the finishing business.
Yeah.
And it's just something fun and different. And think how many other things you could use this finish for. And like I said, at one point I actually kind of toyed with Mod Podging these with a very neutral fabric and giving it that kind of look.
That would be kind of fun.
And I think it would be kind of fun. But in the end, I kind of.
Or like you said, craft paper. Anything.
Sometimes when I design
Scrapbook
these,
paper.
scrapbook paper. Sometimes when I design these things, I have a finish in mind. I'll be honest with this one. I was more focused on the design and the colors than I was the finish, and the finish really came together at the end. And I mean, as I was going along, I knew generally what I wanted to do, but I was super pleased when this came about. So and when I was able to find them, and you can buy them I think Hobby Lobby does have them individually, but not always in stock. So that's why I did list the arts and crafts store where I purchased them. It's on the chart, and I will list it in comments below. So yay, you guys did a good job. Okay.
All right.
So any other questions or anything you feel like people should know, or now that you're so experienced at this?
I don't think of anything.
No, I can't think of anything either. No, it was good explanation.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Well, great. Well, I'm going to turn it off here, and then we're going to come back up for a couple final words.
Okay.
Okay, so we just wanted to come back with a little bit to show, they survived class. They did really well. Yay! So you're going to go home and just get stitching on these right away, right?
Yes.
Right.
Such a beautiful model.
I'm not believing you guys. Anyway, so well, thank you for coming and spending the day down here.
Yes.
One of your days off, when I know you've probably got 50 million orders to fill and quilts to quilt, and she's a busy gal. So, and thank you for, well, you would have been here anyway.
I would have been here, right?
But anyway, so thanks. And you guys can see how easy it is to finish it this way, whether you're doing season 2 or whether you're doing another nice fun small. It's a fun finish. Plus it also showed you how to do lacing, and then those tricky corners with rickrack. Now you know my secret, so don't tell anybody. Anyway, so now it's all over for me. So anyway, so one quick little plug, because we gotta do a little commercial. We want to show thank you to everybody who is doing our Polly Maria stitch along. And this is just, if you're going, what's that? This is, sorry, Lorna. This is Polly Maria. This is the one that's on the cover. This is the 1820.
That's the 1826 model.
1826 model. I hesitated because of the date, because I always get it wrong. And I keep looking outside. It's snowing again.
Yeah, it is.
And very windy.
It's snowing again. Okay. But anyway, so this is the 1826 colorway, and you stitched
on the modern, we called it the 2021 version,
right?
Which is a little bit lighter. You used cocoa, I believe, and what did I use? I can't even remember. But mine is a little lighter than this.
Was it gray or was it?
It's
on the chart.
It's on the chart. Yeah.
Anyway, so this was just, we won't go into the whole chapter and verse, but this was a sampler that you own, that your husband gave to you on Christmas, and it came to you. It came to the place in Beresford via an auction house in Iowa. So you had an interest in her, and of course, when I found out she ended up being an Iowa girl, I was like, and it's my first attempt at reproducing a sampler. It's not a difficult one. It's just
takes 3 colors.
Yep.
2 shades of blue and a brown.
And you have kits.
And I have kits of both colorways.
Yes.
And the blues are pretty similar, but mine, I think my blues are a little darker because I used lighter fabric. Yours are a little lighter because you used darker fabric.
Yeah. And you can get the frame too for them. And so if you go to Ginny's website, which I will again put in the comments below, you can order the chart, you can order the whole kit. This is Gloriana Silks, Weeks Dye Works linen, and join the stitch along. I think you put the hashtag on your...
I did. Dakota Stitcher is doing the stitch along on Instagram, and she's moving right along. She's using an 18 count with the Cathy's colorways of silk.
Yes.
And the 1826 silk.
She's really coming along.
She's really moving along.
And now we were kind of saying her account is set to private, so she said she would accept follow requests and things like that if you were doing the Polly Maria. She's checking in every Monday. We're calling it Polly Maria Monday. She's posting along, so she posted yesterday. Yep. And I didn't yesterday. I will go back and share. And
I did share.
Ginny is sharing it, so you can definitely check out Amber's progress. And thanks to everybody else who
ordered.
Yeah, who ordered and also is posting their progress as well. It's just this was such a soothing stitch.
Yes.
I really have enjoyed everything. And we gave a little bit of the story in the background inside the chart.
Very interesting story.
Yeah.
She's got quite a history behind her. For, when she was 13, you think about that, they had no light.
Yeah, no readers,
No, they, they just, and this is probably how she learned her alphabet.
Exactly. So it was kind of fun to learn a little bit more about her. So we thought we would do a quick little plug for her. Yep. So thank you. And thank you both. I really appreciate you taking the time to come do this with me. And
thanks for asking.
And hopefully help everybody else who has questions about how to finish season 2. Yay. You can hold up yours.
Season 2.
All right, season 2. Your stitching is just lovely.
I know, it's lovely. It's just lovely.
All right, enjoy the stitch.
Bye-bye.
Bye.